All right, everybody. Viper Futures here. Happy Easter to those of you that celebrate. We're going on to the trade week of April 4th, we're going to call this, starting Sunday. And I'm going to go through what a volume profile is. We're going to go and also feed off of our blog as bullet points for me. I just went ahead and just posted this. What is volume profile used and how it's used in futures trading? Not only is it used in futures trading, you can use volume profile in currency markets as well, and you can use you can reference off of currency futures. You can reference stocks using volume profile and stuff like that. But we're going to go ahead and just so you guys know before we get started, viperfutures.com is a free educational site, reference site, blog site. We make recommendations, and then I'll post videos in obviously within my time management to explain different topics for you. And we have a library of things we want to talk about, what I use on my charts daily for intraday. And it's just about making that time to get them all distributed out there. So as people get onto our YouTube channel, you can find all the free series we've already offered on future spreads, on free micro futures introduction course and such like that. So offering these things for free to help you guys out and then just kind of share and go from there. So today the topic is going to be, volume profile. All right, so here in front of me in this light blue background here, on the whole chart I have a 60-minute bars, so it's a 60-minute chart, but I have session profiles for 1 week. So I have weekly session profiles, and that's what you see here. So it's what it is. It's an advanced study under the order flow category that helps display traded volume distribution at price over time. Okay, the volume profile is displayed as a horizontal histogram. It can help reveal some significant price levels, which most people refer to as support and resistance. So we're going to get into that in a little bit here real soon. Okay, so just bear with me. Let me show you guys what a volume profile normally looks like. Well, how traditionally people look at volume. But before that, just so again we reiterate, uh, there's key components people use to analyze the markets. Okay, and trading is one of volume is one of them. Okay, so in this session, we're just going to stick with this component as volume profile. It's in this department of analyzing volume. So volume is more commonly used, normally displaying a total number of contracts traded within a specific period of time. Okay, but it can also be further segmented into buying and selling pressure, again helping us identify imbalance areas, areas of possible rotations, reversals, and just overall market structure. So let me now show you how traditionally we were looking at volume on a lot of standard broker platforms, and they come pre-built in as like the generic indicator, could I call it, to on our chart. So here is, to save us time, a screenshot of my blog post showing volume at time. So all this volume here, this buying and selling volume back and forth, is on 1 hour candlesticks and shows who the dominant side was, but over a series of time, not over a series of the actual price. So if we, take this overlay and we put it over on horizontally on price over certain sessions that we want to identify. We can do this as set sessions, like daily sessions, a weekly session, a monthly, and we can use it like some people use for support resistance lines, drawing them manually. You can use these to dynamically show, as the market is creating its structure, changing its rotations, changing its path, to draw levels and find levels easily. I mean, some people could just see just looking at it, right? With your just looking at this chart, you can see where a lot of volume is taking place, and there's a lot of rotations that took over here before they initiated more buying. So we can tell they were buying here, buying and defending this area is what they call it. Okay, but volume profile helps us do this visually, so it's really good even if you're new because it kind of helps set a tone for you. It's assisting you, and anyway, it's a pretty good indicator. In this 30-minute volume profile chart that I have here, I actually have the periodicities changed to 2 different sessions. So this is 30 minutes. These are 30-minute on the ES, S&P E-mini. And what I have here is I have volume profile displaying in the overnight markets as purple, and then in the lighter blue I have them as the day session. So as the overnight market starts at 1700 Central Time, US, Chicago time, the purple volume profile will start accumulating, obviously displaying where there's a lot of that volume occurring, turning points, initiation points, and rotations. As we get into the day session, then you can prepare. So I use this as a different angle to look at a couple of profile within one whole day session, but I'm splitting them between extended and regular trading hours. And so this is my 30-minute profile chart. Volume profile versus market profile. So while the two can be used interchangeably at times as the names, the main differences in them is market profile is measuring price traded at each level, while volume profile is measuring how much volume was conducted at these levels. Okay, so they're measuring two different things, but they kind of look the same. They're almost identical. But again, it's a different measure. One is the main thing, remember, is measuring price on time, and the other is volume over price. How much volume was traded at price versus price traded over extended periods of time. Okay, so that's the main difference. They bounce back around. They'll call market profiles TPOs, time price opportunities, and they'll call them, market profile. Now, volume profile usually just will stay volume profile, but tends to get mixed up. They almost look identical, but they are measuring different things, which is another dynamic of measuring the markets. Other than volume is, you have your time and you have price. So just want to clear that up there. Since I already had made this blog post before, it's kind of easier now instead of rather just break it down on my live charts. But we'll go into the ES kind of breakdown here before we get off this video. So the main key things a volume profile is going to do, it has a ton of other things like initial balance. I don't get into that in detail with anybody, not yet. It's a little bit more advanced. We just want to keep things simple. So we want to look at the simple key value areas that form and change during the session. And keep an eye on that in conjunction with maybe another indicator, or with just obviously with where price is, right? By using your candlesticks or range bars, whatever you have, to determine, areas of initiation and things. So point of control is a price level with the highest traded volume within that profile, represented with usually it'll be a red horizontal line. On a lot of platforms, their standard is like a yellow. You know what? Let me see here. As you guys see here, let me zoom this up. So this red line here is where the most, and you can see where the cloud kind of extends out. And it can change in a day, okay? So it's cumulative, but it's still very viable, because especially this is a weekly session profile over 60-minute chart. So we can see here, for example, obviously a lot of volume is traded here. This stayed as the point of control, this 39.4575. And you can see here clearly in the volume distribution where, that was pretty obvious. That was the highest volume distribution, and so that's called a point of control. Okay. The next thing that we look at is the value area high and lows. These are the lowest price and the highest price traded within a specified time period, and it's represented with a thin blue line. I have it as a thin blue line. It could be, like a thin gray line, whatever. I change settings to just keep them as clean as possible, but still let me identify them and see them on the chart. So these two prints here at 39.7275 and 39.3675 is the value area is a 70% distribution chart, and the rest of them is just the extended areas. And so at the tip of the 70% distribution of all volume traded in that session, the high and the low areas of that is considered value area high and low. So you can see here in the value area low at 39.3675, all of this volume was traded. You can see it became a level of support. Likewise, the other hand here, where we had a lot of resistance happening, more rotation happened here, and where there could have been a potential reversal, we obviously just on ES, surprise, surprise, made new highs. I guess this was the Easter Bunny delivering some deals to everybody, and they broke out for the long. But as you can clearly see, this happened around in this area. Now, this area was already probably a value area high by almost before the end of the session here. Bounced back, kind of looked like it was becoming your typical resistance again, but it was resistance, broke away, so it showed some weakness. Again, some rotation accumulation here, and then broke out. So Let's go on. So once again, to review what that value area means, it's here posted in our blog as well at viperfutures.com. The range within the profile where the most volume traded, about the 70% distribution area, the value area high and low, are also considered significant levels within this profile. Okay, so once you're familiar with these volume profile tools, traders can take advantage of this profile tool, help detect support and resistance levels, price reversals, and more, and can be used as target points also to measure sustainable risk reward. Target points, and we'll show you guys here soon. Trade decisions you can make uh, before an execution of an order. So, for example, let's say here we're in these highs, and I was going to talk about ES anyway. So we're in all-time highs, just because of our. Let me see if I can pull my daily chart here. So we're in these all-time highs on ES. There's nothing back here on a daily chart that, obviously, this big news has been we've hit over 4,000 this Easter week, but excuse me. So obviously I don't have any targets above, right? It's uncharted territory, but we have targets below, and it looks like it's potential signs of a pullback here. It is due, just like typically, it's how the science laws kind of work, right? You're gonna have some pullback. That's could happen. Excuse me, any day now. Um, so with that said, when we're looking at a weekly profile, we can see levels of target. Okay, so we can say, okay, first target, if we start finding our indication that we're going short, whatever we're using on a smaller confirmation chart, if we're using footprints to watch the order flow, see aggressive selling coming in from the sell volume. So we can make our first target potentially in this area where we know we have a feeling buyers will come back in and support this area. If you look back at, excuse me, I'm going to clear my throat. Excuse me. Thanks. If we look back at, 3 weeks prior, we had a level here already at 39.69. This was pretty close to it. It's a zone, 39.72, where we rejected once, twice within that week. We finally broke out, and now that became like a support area for that long breakout for the week. And we saw that here where they attempted to do it 3 weeks ago, and then sellers came back in, took control, and sold every level back down. So this can be an area where, high likelihood you're going to have a wall you're going to hit. Now our buyer is going to come back in, or seller is going to take back control. So that's our first target area. We want to look, as soon as we can get any kind of bearish sign for the week, but starting the session, we want to look for this area. That makes sense. It's going to come back down to our weekly VWAP. We can use that in conjunction to have a weekly volume weighted average price in here. I'm not going to get into. We'll save for another video topic. So it could rubber band back into this. It's kind of like a bastardized moving average. And what's our next level for the possible week? 39.45. Because as our new week is forming, we're going to have a new profile. But usually, chances are, we can meet back closely pre-game, pre-week to these levels. Okay, so 39.45 is another potential stop because a lot of volume's been traded here. Are these guys going to want to defend? Most likely. I mean, we can clearly see that these were buyers, so they could be defending these areas, but not before they give up this area and also maybe fill in this blind or naked point of control. Now, naked point of control, one thing about volume profile is anytime there's a session that's created a point of control and price never comes back and touches that point of control in the next session, whether it's a weekly session you're using, dailies, like most of us use daily volume session profiles, there's a high likelihood usually these things can come back and get filled, touched, whether it's for a second or something. It's just some science to it. It's the way the big money works. They have some interest there, as you see here in this 38.89 in these last 2 weeks, where price took off. This was left as a naked profile for a long time. It broke, and then you see on our chart here we have it to where it'll stay extended until it touches, and then it'll take back off, and that's what it did. So it killed that naked one. Here we have a new one that formed the prior week, the week before Easter week, and so like late March week, the last week of March, and so now there's a high likelihood we'll come and see these. It can happen. It happens about 85-90% of the time. Almost, I want to say more, but I'm just going to be conservative. So That's another part you can use, and in most of your trading platforms, you could have this setting to turn this on and off. I like to turn it on because it's a viable tool. Um, Professionals use, I use to gauge for potential reversals or a magnetized area where we're going to target. So, it's a 100-point range for the yes. It's wide, but we're talking a whole week to have time to complete this. So, so that's what I went ahead and just went ahead over our levels for the week of April 4th, 2021. So look for this action. Footprint charts, guys. I'm not going to get into them right now. That's what I will be using usually to get into my actual trades. I'm not a footprint at the time of this video expert. Okay, I'm not claiming to be, and I'm still perfecting it too. I took ownership of footprint charts years ago when I purchased the Order Flow Plus lifetime license with NinjaTrader, but I never took ownership of it. I was just like, I bought it as an owner, but I never took ownership in utilizing it because it was too much for me. The interest level was not good. I joined a couple expensive schools, didn't feel like I got much from them. So even there was a feeling of being ripped off, and I just felt like I couldn't keep paying people to try to learn it. And can't find. So it was something where literally I'm using now, and with time I'm learning a lot. With the exception, there's still some, and thanks to some of the free information on YouTube, start putting one and one together and taking action on this stuff really starts showing good opportunities. When you combine this with your levels, then you can clearly, as you get more educated and more experience in trading, you can say, wow, okay, I can tell now what volume absorption is. I can tell where there's key reversals, and buying and selling is really, there's going to be no breakout here, no fake out. They're not testing, they're just really rotating around rotation day, and you can clearly see with this, but I'm not going to extend any videos on this, not for the moment. We can use this, we can use delta imbalances and everything in conjunction with just maybe a standard VWAP, okay? And these are all order flow tools, okay? Volume profile, you're looking and keying in at volume. The order flow, VWAP, volume weighted average price, where the institutes usually will have algorithms that initiate at these prices. Um, Another order flow method to look at order flow. People think order flow is just looking at, a set of numbers bouncing up and down a depth of market. No, it's not. Um, you know, there's a lot of different order flow tools. Market depth just being one way to look at it. So these are what we do. These are what we use. So wrapping it up on the volume profile. Also, you can again subscribe here, guys, and comment if you have any questions. But I also have all this information in my blog. It's not too detailed. It's pretty much what I just went through with you. If you're not currently using volume profile in your, especially intraday analysis or macro time frame analysis, if you're not, too good on putting support resistance lines up. Now, we've had past videos where we discuss where you can go on different platforms and get dynamic support resistance tools that draw them for you dynamic, but they're not static. Remember that, right? So what happens is it can change on you during the day, and if it does it intraday and it does it wrong because you're relying on some coder out there that programmed you something to help you trade, it could be dangerous. Volume profile does change too during a session, but it's more unique in the sense that it's used by a lot of traders, professional traders and institutes, not some kind of dynamically changing support resistance line indicator that was coded by somebody. So you got to be very careful, what you lean on and rely on. If you're not good at drawing support resistance lines, I know some guys that are very good at doing that, and then volume profile could be just for you. Okay, it could be a great thing to add to your charts. It's a way you analyze volume at the price over a set period session. It makes you clearly start seeing turning points, initiation points, the next target levels. So, example, I wanted to mention again with risk reward. This move from here to down here on ES is $2,500 move, so it's a lot of points. Okay, I know it sounds unrealistic, but it's there. It's possible because we're in the air right now. But if we were here, let's give an example here where volume profile first formed. By this time it formed, now you can clearly probably see. And also, in addition, looking at the week before, you can see where this area is resistance. Sellers are going to defend this spot. I'm giving you an example of what potential this stuff has. This week here, in the last week of March, think this was the last week of March, second to last week, in comparison to the price action the week before. When price broke down here, first it was being defended by buyers. They finally gave up and was selling. It now became resistance. Here at the top for the following week, we had one rejection, two rejection, almost three. It's not a perfect world, but each one of these rejections was worth more or less $1,000. So 20 points. This was almost 40 points. Okay, this is on ES. If you did this on micro, it's the last 10x, right? So it's just 1x of this, so 1 times 10%. Sorry. And so this can help allow you to make minimal trades and also find target areas. I mean, if you got in here, where would your exit possibly be? Just what? Just like a short little VWAP, exit, like, oh, I'm just gonna scalp in a VWAP. Well, for a lot of people, yeah, it could be. But this thing just was like a gift all the way down to where? To this last volume. Okay, this last volume. So using a volume profile is gonna help you to see these areas that normally maybe your eye, your rookie eye, newbie eye, or even professional eye that just you're not into this stuff before, couldn't maybe look at, couldn't catch, couldn't magnetize to, because you weren't used to, you didn't know what to look for or whatever. And it helped me too. And so now it helps you see, hey man, we had a prior point of control here, even from the prior week. That was a naked point of control. It was revisited, broken. This area was rejected. So we're getting tighter range into the week, inside week here. That obviously happened. They call almost, yeah, little tight, little inside week. And you capitalize on one or two better trades than taking a bunch of trades during the day. Sit here and wait for this. Say, man, great, I'll take this spot. You know what? I'm going to aim for all the way down here. If depending on your scaling plan, or I don't know. Same thing on a reversal. We almost went to the top. If you knew when a good sign was to get out, and you had another reversal down here. And here was a complete breakdown. But when it did break down, it made it kind of obvious off the value area low. It broke down with aggression, came back up, and now this same support, this value area low for the week became was a support, became a resistance, and then it sold off. How can we see where a good turning point there would have been? Well, I mean, you got to look back sometime, get a little bit more creative. You can see that there was some kind of volume there. At this point, you have to kind of like draw up your lines. Let's see, I have a tool here that does that. I might do something like this. Say, hey, where could these turning points be? Well, that makes sense. Hey, if you're a candlestick trader, we had a big indecision bar followed by a big aggressive bullish engulfing bar on this thing. If you're not necessarily looking at order flow, you don't have to. These are 1 hour bars. In this 1 hour, 10 o'clock in the morning session, these sellers just were given the breaks by these guys, by the bulls, and off it went. Had you pick off the top of that, I know you guys, you can all say, and you're probably hindsight this, hindsight that. These are lessons to try to maximize your trading. It's beyond 20 points, almost 50, 20, 30 point move. I mean, just if you took it to VWAP, right? So, again, this is just 60-minute, and we haven't even broke down 30-minute profiles, guys. This is a weekly profile with 60-minute bars. And so this is the week, again, of April 4th. Given the target levels, I've published it on bar chart already. For those of you that don't, here inside barchart.com, how is volume profile used in futures trading, plus ES levels for the week of 4/4/21. So I've already, there's everything we discussed here in this video. That's why it's up now 24 minutes. A good 15 minutes about volume profile, and then we kind of broke down the week of ES. All right. So everybody have a good trade week. Be safe out there, have fun trading and all that stuff, and we'll talk to you guys soon. If you have any questions, post them. Don't forget, we have our April Earn to Trade evaluation challenge. All you got to do is just watch that video and follow the rules. It was a recently posted video on April 1st on our YouTube channel. All right, guys, take care now. Thanks for watching.